This popular podcaster has the whole world believing that the Trump campaign is offering millions of dollars to celebrities just to endorse him.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
But I don't believe this for one dang second. Hey everyone, welcome back to Underreported Stories, where I cover the news that CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News fail to report on or don't report on enough. And today I'm going to debunk this theory that the Trump campaign is shelling out millions of dollars to podcasters who openly endorsed Kamala Harris. This all started from a now viral clip of influencer / podcaster Tana Mongeau. If you don't know who Tana Mongeau is, she had a MTV series back in the day. She's a YouTuber, and her biggest project right now is a podcast called The Canceled Podcast that she co-hosts with her friend Brooke Schofield. It's undeniably a successful podcast. It gets millions of views, the show, just on YouTube alone, let alone Spotify and Apple numbers, which we don't have access to. And it's also gotten a ton of attention because recently the co-host, Brooke, not Tana, not the main girl Tana, but Brooke, had old racist tweets that came out. A whole other story I don't want to get into today. But this podcast, I should say this duo, has been in the limelight a lot recently. So they're making news again. They traditionally talk about nonsensical Hollywood drama, chatting with reality stars, stuff like that, like what's going on in their lives. But recently, after Brooke's old racist tweets came up, they promised or made a vow to their audience to talk about more political or culturally important things. Again, a topic I don't want to get into right now. What I do want to get into is this recent clip of Tana alleging that she got offered millions of dollars to endorse a presidential candidate. This has gone absolutely viral. I'm just going to show you the clip.
I hypothetically was just offered a lot of money to endorse a political party, like millions. And then I was being allegedly told an alleged list of other influencers that have already hypothetically accepted money to do those hypothetical things that were hypothetically offered to me to hypothetically do.
I think we can hypothetically assume who those people are.
But it's not one or two.
Well, yeah, it's 12.
No, it's like hundreds.
Now I want you to notice something. Tana never said which political party. The reason there's a viral theory that Trump offered Tana Mongeau money is not because of anything Tana Mongeau said. It's because the clip I just showed you is the actual clip from the show. But just the clip from the show isn't what went viral. It was that clip followed by an explanation from a left-leaning reporter that, for very obvious reasons, put this theory out there.
That's what Tana Mongeau said on her canceled podcast, alleging she was offered millions to endorse a particular political candidate. She already endorsed Harris back in August after co-host Brooke Schofield's old racist tweets were unearthed, so we can extrapolate that she was allegedly offered millions of dollars to endorse the GOP and Trump, and that she was shown a list of hundreds of influencers who have already accepted that money.
But just note that nowhere in the original Tana video was there any hint that this was the GOP shelling out money to this influencer. It was a 50-50 shot. She could have been talking about either party. So let me attempt to show you this reporter's logic and then debunk it for you. Like this reporter said in her video, Tana Mongeau endorsed Kamala Harris in August of 2020 in a TikTok comment. So the assumption here is that Tana had endorsed Kamala in a TikTok comment. Therefore, this had to be the Trump campaign reaching out and shelling out millions of dollars to see if she'd change her endorsement, because Tana Mongeau's endorsement of Kamala Harris is going to change this race so dramatically. And yeah, that's it. That's the entire logic. There weren't any other clues indicating that it was Donald Trump, just that Tana once endorsed Kamala, so it must be the Trump campaign trying to flip her. Might I pose this crazy conspiracy theory? Is there any chance that the Kamala campaign hypothetically didn't know that Tana Mongeau had once endorsed Kamala Harris in a TikTok comment? And perhaps, hypothetically, the Kamala campaign was reaching out, asking for an explicit endorsement, or perhaps an endorsement on the canceled podcast, or in a more prominent way on social media, as opposed to just the one comment. And in exchange for access to Tana's millions of followers, the Kamala campaign would be willing to pay millions of dollars for that endorsement. I know that might be crazy, but it's actually not. I'm really trying to see it from the other side's lens, but there's nothing in those comments that explicitly states that it was Donald Trump or it was Kamala Harris. Obviously, it's probably one of the two. I don't think the Libertarian Party is out here shelling millions of dollars for Tana Mongeau's endorsement. The only other explanation I could think of why this so-called journalist blamed Trump for this or claimed this was Trump when there's really no explanation is that Tana Mongeau is Team Kamala. Therefore, her logic, the journalist's logic, would be, oh, Tana wouldn't out her own party in this way. Probably because this journalist, who is so sycophantically left-wing, would never do this to her own party. But hypothetically, Tana Mongeau could possibly find politics on both sides sick and be willing to call out her own party because she finds this behavior repulsive. I know, guys, crazy conspiracies I'm making on the show today. There's another layer to this story as well because there's another comment made by Tana's co-host Brooke that also set internet rumors ablaze.
I think we can hypothetically assume who those people are.
Everyone now believes that it was the Trump campaign asking for the endorsement because of that NowThis reporter. And because of that, people assumed that Brooke must be talking about an influencer or influencers who have endorsed Trump. Again, a massive assumption by the internet. And the biggest TikToker who has come out in support of Trump is a guy named Bryce Hall. Bryce has 23 million TikTok subscribers and has publicly supported Donald Trump and even gone to a Trump rally to explicitly support the former president.
We need Trump back. Really bad. Make America great again.
Since a TikToker who was once silent about politics now got heavily involved in discussing the election and politics and endorsed Trump, the internet assumed that Brooke was throwing shade at Bryce Hall. Those assumptions are pretty asinine. Who's to say that Tana wasn't asked by the DNC or the Kamala campaign to endorse Kamala? And who's to say Brooke wasn't talking about Taylor Swift? Because this podcast took place on September 12th. And you know what happened very publicly 2 days prior? Taylor Swift put out a massive endorsement of Kamala Harris. The internet has just assumed it's Bryce Hall and the GOP. But Bryce actually responded to this, and I think his pushback is worth assessing.
A lot of people are tagging me in this video. If you just look at all the comments, it's just your boy. And after this podcast came out, all my comments are like, yo, how much is Donald Trump paying you? So I'm just going to say a few things to debunk this theory of me getting paid. Number one, why would I be roasting all of these influencers for getting paid by the DNC and then be getting paid by the Republican Party to promote the Republican Party? That would just be really stupid. Number two, political parties usually target influencers or celebrities that have a clean image, and you just Google my name. I'm not really like the most brand-friendly guy. And number three, if I was getting paid by the Republican Party, I promise you, one, my lifestyle would be completely different, and two, we would have to have a talk with their marketing guy. If you saw all the videos all over your For You page and everyone just roasting me for endorsing Trump and being on stage with Trump, I don't think they'd pay for that.
All of that is valid. Now, I think in any good debate, it's worth conceding a few points here. One thing that stood out to me about Bryce Hall's video is that he never explicitly said the words, I was never paid by the GOP, or I was never paid to endorse Trump or say anything about Trump. I will concede there are multiple inferences to the idea that he was never paid, but I have to give the haters credibility in that sense. Although the general sentiment of the video was, no, Bryce Hall wasn't paid by the GOP, and unless I'm missing an entire portion of pop culture intersecting with politics, which by the way is my entire job, then I'm truly not aware of these thousands or hundreds of influencers who are openly conservative talking about their views all over social media. And that would need to be true in order to back up Tana's claim that countless influencers are getting paid millions or handsomely to endorse Trump. That sounds like another political party. Personally, I'm not going to put much stock into the words of two influencers who started talking about politics in 2024. Neither one of these influencers has more credibility than the other. And the theory that this was factually the GOP trying to pull Tana Mongeau over it doesn't make any sense. Now, I will admit I'm not involved in the day-to-day operations of the RNC, so I can't say it's impossible that the RNC offered Tana Mongeau money to endorse Trump. What I am saying is that there's not a singular context clue that would allow anyone to come to that conclusion wholeheartedly. But as someone who is very involved in the conservative movement, let me be blunt about why I don't believe this theory. Truthfully, I don't believe the RNC is smart enough to engage influencers at this level. I went to the RNC this past year, and it was the first time ever that the RNC had a box for influencers. And I don't want to belittle my friends by saying this because they're wonderful, but there wasn't anyone with millions and millions of followers in this influencer box. The biggest person in the influencer category was probably Amber Rose, and she wasn't even in the box. She was there to speak, which shows me two things. There's not a lot of influencers who are huge, the size of Tana Mongeau, I should say, who are outwardly conservative, getting trips, nonetheless paid by the RNC. And second, there's not great coordination going on between the RNC and influencers to begin with. So how in the world would the GOP have this massive network of influencers that no one knows about, and no one talks about, and no one sees on the internet? Even people in the movement have no idea where this money could possibly be coming from. But again, I like playing the hypothetical game. Let's say I'm completely wrong and out of touch and the RNC is actually shelling out millions of dollars to influencers and I just have no clue. Why the hell would they pick Tana Mongeau? She's a big podcaster, please, don't get me wrong. But in comparison to the biggest, most influential podcast, the right actually doesn't need much help in this lane. Just look at the top 100 podcasters on Spotify. Joe Rogan, conservative adjacent. Tucker, conservative. Candace, conservative. The Hawk Tua girl. Okay, moving on. Megyn Kelly, Sean Ryan, the Huberman Lab, Theo Vaughn. I mean, the top 10 is basically half conservatives. Then you get to Liberal, The Daily, Apolitical, Dan Bongino, apolitical, liberal, liberal, call her daddy. Charlie Kirk, conservative, apolitical, liberal, and by the way, the canceled podcast, not on here, okay? You can scroll around, not on here. The right is of no shortage of top podcasts. Logically, why would it make financial sense to the Trump campaign to seek the endorsement of a YouTuber whose podcast isn't in the top 100 when, as I noted, many podcasts who are advocating for Trump, or at least advocating for his messages, are in the top 100 and he doesn't even need to pay them? I just don't buy it. But let me know what you believe. Are you Team Tana? Are you Team Bryce? Where do you fall? And while you're in the comments, if you're a real one and made it to the end of today's show, would you drop the podcasting mic in the comment so I know you made it to the end? I linked it in the show notes for you to just copy and paste. Thanks, friends. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked what you heard, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment about how beautiful, stunning, and funny I am. And if you want more content based in logic, be sure to click over here for more videos and clips of my show. If you have the means to financially support the show, consider purchasing from my merch line, BASED Apparel, linked right below. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you back here next time. Bye, friends.